Hi, I'm John from Bike Social. So I'm about to go out for a ride, which is no big deal, but I'm going to do it on this Zero SRF electric bike. There's no control conditions here. The point for me is, while it's not really the ideal market for an electric bike, I just want to go out for a blast. I'm going about 60 odd miles, going to Bike Stop in Stevenage. It might make it. 100 miles is the quoted range on a combined figure. That's EU testing standard, so should do it. But last night when I picked it up, I was very throttle heavy, really like hard on the throttle, and it does drop quickly. So I want to go out for a blast. I want to see what this is like for a blast. But remember, with electric bikes, I've ridden them before, and if I lived just outside London and I was getting a good wage in London, I'd undoubtedly have one. There's lots of reasons why. We'll go into that. There's a big feature going to be on Bike Social about this, but for now, let's go out and see what happens. Okay, so quick update. I've just been through the city, and the estimated range just kept going up. So it's now shown about 81 miles. I'm about to hit the more back road stuff where it will get more spirited. Yeah, I'm riding like I normally would. 30s, 40s, 50s, absolutely sticking to the limits. So far, I'd say it performs. It's almost like riding MT-07, but a silent one. And it is weird. It's like being on a tube train. But that sounds bad, and I know we all love the sound of the bikes. I love the sound of my MT-10, but it is actually quite relaxing, and it's something different. So let's get back on. I properly enjoyed that back road. Now the estimated mileage, estimated range dropped significantly. It's now down to 40 miles, but my sat-nav says 38 miles. Now we're now going through a town again. Again, I just let the TomTom set a winding route. It's exactly what I do on a normal internal combustion engine bike. So I might actually see the mileage go up again. I think I'm going to make it. But yeah, absolutely brilliant to ride. Bit soft suspension. You can feel it kind of squatting and moving in corners. It's adjustable show. It's all right. As standard, it is pretty soft. As a commuter bike that you can take out for blast, so far, well impressed. And that's what you got to remember. These are absolutely awesome city commuter bikes. It's not a back road blast bike all the time. It's not a long distance tourer. But that was good fun. no engine noise. It's so weird. Okay, so quick update. I've pulled over on beautiful roads here, kind of parallel to the A1 going down towards Stevenage, but there's some beautiful back roads here, especially coming out of Godmanchester. Some lovely back road stuff. They're all roads I've ridden before, really enjoy. And yeah, like in sport mode, it's like a silent MT-09. It really pulls well. I am a bit disappointed with the suspension. I haven't had a fiddle with it yet, but this is a really bumpy back road here. And these kind of roads I like because there's nobody else around, so you can properly enjoy yourself without getting in trouble or annoying anybody. And actually, I come through a village, there's a guy working his garden, and I love the fact that I just went by silently, just making people love motorcyclists. But yeah, the suspension was really tying itself up in knots. There was one point, one of those real like, oh shit moments. It was quite bumpy in a bend. It's all right in cities, which is where, you know, these kind of bikes really excel because of their free transport, basically, once you bought it. But yeah, out there, that was not great. Everywhere else has been good. Just coming out of Godmanchester, kind of gassed it on, and it kind of squatted. It felt like it moved. There is a lot of torque there as you pull away. But that 190 Newton meter torque, which is, you know, it's way more than a Panigale V4, but it doesn't feel like it. That's a peak torque as well. The fact that it's a twist and go, that transforms this. It's amazing riding a twist and go that's this fast and this powerful. It's brilliant fun. I know there'll be loads of people hating on this because it's not got the right sound, or it's got rubbish range, I can't go with my mates. You can do everything. I haven't planned this route. I haven't tempered my riding at all. It's now saying 25 miles to go on the TomTom, 26 miles range. And that range is being accurate. It drops as you start riding fast, but it sticks to that. So it's not plummeting. I'm pretty confident actually that I'm going to get there. Then of course I've got to charge it up to get home again. My distance, but I've done some villages and towns and it's kind of sorted itself out. But I found out as I overtook somebody that it's now restricting the output, and find out as you're overtaking somebody isn't ideal, but I'll show you what I mean about this roundabout. Still got plenty to go, but watch what happens when I smack the foot out. It's full open. Right, I made it. 61 miles. I'm at bike stop in Stevenage. The range did drop below the distance on the sat nav. At one point it was saying like 9 miles, and it said I had 7 miles of range left, which concerned me, but I didn't change my riding. But I then went and overtook a car, and it turns out it goes into restricted mode. So the first I knew of it was as I did an overtake, and torque had just gone. So trying it on the dual carriageway, you just full flat out on the throttle, and it just loses all that torque, all that pickup. In sport mode, it's still got a slight snap as it picks up, so it's not the same as Eco, but beyond that initial pickup, it's like Eco. It's really sluggish. So it got me here. I've still got to get home. So apparently there's a proper charging point near here, so I'm just going to go and find it. I've got like a mile range left on there, so I can go and find the charging point, plug it in, go and have a look round bike stop, and then probably have some lunch. Then I've got to get myself home. So yeah, it got here. It was a brilliant ride. Would it have been more fun on my MT-10? The dynamics of the bike, besides the suspension where it tied itself up a bit on the bumpy road, this was just as much fun. But there was that underlying worry of, am I going to make it? It's not what this bike's for. You know, it is a commuter machine, really. Be awesome in the city, but let's get some charge in it and see what happens when I get home. Right, this is the first time I've ever used a public charging point, and I must admit I got it, eventually found it. Really annoying that I have to use the app. I couldn't put the couldn't download a load of waypoints to my TomTom, but it wouldn't even let me screen grab because of security. But anyway, I found the charging point. There's a car plugged in. I thought, well, that's that job over, but it looks like there's 2 points. So, for what it looks like, luckily I've got my charging cable. If I knew what one I was going to use, I could have put it in that boot, but charging cable. So I think I've got this card for this Polar Plus. Please hold RFID. Yep, it says yes. And it's unlocked the port. I've got free fuel. So, plug that doobry in there. Open up the tank. Say tank. It's a bit difficult to do when you're trying to hold a phone and plug it in, but let's plug that in. Now what? Okay, that says yes. Here we go. So it's now saying 1% charge. So it's not putting any charge in yet. I'm hoping that's going to change in a minute, maybe as it sorts itself out. I understand it takes a few seconds, like 10 seconds or so to sort itself out. But I'll come back to you. Okay, so I'm willing to bet there was some user error there. It's working now. It's charging. There was a few moments I thought I was going to have to go to Bike Stop and beg some electricity, but we've got 2.8 kilowatt. So the state of charge, SOC, is 2%. It's putting 29 amps in. Apparently it's going to take 3 3/4 hours to charge. So I haven't got 3 3/4 hours, but you know, I'll go and Bike Stop, I'll have some lunch, and then we'll see where we are when we get back. Okay, so I was probably 2.5 hours at Bike Stop. Had lunch there. It's a really cool place to go and some really good roads up there. So I was quite happy there. But when I left, I was at 75% charge. It took into account the riding style I'd had, but still coming back just on the A1. It was saying about 2 miles less than the distance I had to go. So I've not chanced it. I've stopped here at Days Inn in Sandy, and they've got a 3-phase charger in the back there. So that's charging it quickly. 10 minutes and I'll easily have enough to get back, so I'm going to have a quick drink here. Yeah, I mean, it is a pain having to stop like this to top up to make sure I'm going to get home. But that's why, you know, electric bikes aren't ready for every biker right now. What some people seem to have trouble grasping is it is a horses for courses thing. You know, these bikes do have a very specific niche. They're far less versatile than most bikes. They are a real niche, but yeah, outside of a city commuting, if you're within the range, great, and if you can afford it. But for this kind of ride, it's not. But I come out here to have a go at it with the type of riding I do, and yeah, so I'm left putting a bit more charge in it. Right, I'm home. Yeah, I stopped on the way home at a fast charging point. Just grabbed a can of Coke and a packet of crisps and put half an hour in there. Gave me more than enough to get home then. And stopped off at my mum and dad's. And yeah, it's fine. But when I got back, It still went into restricted mode, so it slowed down. Now pulling away in restricted mode, up to 30 or 40, it's fine. So you pull away from the lights, absolutely fine. And it's only in the last 10 miles of the range that it does that. But yeah, after that, the throttle from about a third of the way around the throttle or so, it's just nothing. It's like a bike that's gone down, dropped 2 cylinders. So your speed is really curtailed. It will pick up, but it's not dangerous. You can get past stuff or pull away from the lights, but overtaking. I wish there was a warning came up saying this is going to restrict your power or your torque, because you don't want to find out when you're overtaking something. Having said that, it happened to me once. I know what it does now, so yeah, that's fine. Put the Nikon in here because through the day I've also been posting on our Facebook page, and this thing gets more grief than the Nikon. I thought the 6 months of riding that Nikon had been a misery, but this thing, why people have to hate so much. This bike is really expensive. It's this one with the twin chargers and the heated grips and the aluminium bearing weights. It's £18,500. It's hugely expensive, and the switchgear, the finish, the panel gaps, it doesn't look like an £18,500 bike. It's an early adopter price. It's very good at what it does, but for the vast majority of motorcyclists, it's useless for the vast majority of motorcyclists. But it's a niche bike. So honestly, if I lived just outside London, and the commute distance was fine on this, and I earned a lot more than I earn now, then I'd definitely have one. It'd be great in the city. In the city, it's amazing because you've got all this weight low down. So it's 220 kilos, which is, it's a heavy-ish motorbike. Remember though, that's the fully fueled weight. Make sure you look at the curb weight of a motorbike, not the dry weight. And this doesn't get heavier when it's full of electricity. But that weight's really low down, so it's very easy to whip around, really easy to get through the traffic. It's amazing. It's brilliant. There's a really good reason for that there. And yes, for city commuters, absolutely brilliant. That's probably not you watching this video. May well be if you're considering getting one and you're in that situation, you can afford one and you want to commute into a city. It's, absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. If it's not you, then why get upset about it? It's not for you. These are coming. We will all be on alternative energy bikes at some point. With the way London can be with bikes, it's apparent, the mayor's apparent lack of interest in motorcycles. As with the safety of motorcycles as a whole, the more people who ride motorbikes, the safer it will be for all of us. A lot of people moan that bikes are just a luxury item now, and I'm not saying the price of this makes it not a luxury item, but a large proportion of bikes are owned by people now as a luxury, as a toy. I commute every day. I use my bike as my main form of transport. For a long time I didn't have a car. I'm lucky enough to have a car as well now. But for the right kind of person, this is absolutely an excellent commuting tool. So it goes back to those days of when we had people who had bikes to get around. Very different set of circumstances now. We're not looking at it's the cheap form of transport, it's the only thing they can afford, it's all they can afford to run. That's not this. But no tax to pay. If you could get to home and back on this from your commute, and you can charge it up at work, you'll be paying nothing to run this. Servicing will be very cheap. You've got very little to work on. It's just generally checks, and you've got your brakes as normal. It could be a very, very cheap form of transport in its use. It's just not cheap to set up. So if it's for you, it's great. If it's not, then let it be. But the more people who are using stuff like this, the more people who think, actually, that's the right way to get me into London. The price of getting into London or other cities, this thing actually can offset a lot of that. It could work out to be a great way for people. And the more people doing it, the more all of us are going to be safer on bikes. The more the Mayor of London will realise that bikes are a bloody good idea for getting around a city, the more it's going to benefit us all. In time, we will all be using alternative energy sources, whether it's electric, whether we finally get hydrogen fuel cells. It's always 20 more years for hydrogen power. It's like 2 minutes Turkish. Something's going to change. Things are going to change. We haven't got an infinite amount of oil. I hope that we're still riding motorbikes when we've got new energy sources. Certainly, the more people we get riding stuff, taking stuff up, embracing different styles of riding, then the better it's going to be for all of us. So, it's an effective bike. I had a good laugh on it today. It was a bit of a pain in the ass trying to keep it topped up with fuel. A bit of anxiety there about the range, but that's not what it's intended for. That's not what this bike's going to be used for in the majority. It's not who it's targeted at. I just wanted to give it a go. I wanted to see if I could have a good blast in it. Handles pretty well, suspension's alright, brakes good. J1 brakes, you'll never have heard of them, but you'll probably ridden bikes that have had them on just with the manufacturer branding. It's a good bike, just might not be for you. So if you click on the link above or below, depending on where you're watching this, you'll get the full written article. Now there's a lot more information in there, and I've also done the maths to find out when this thing could pay for itself. We've got a huge amount of content on Bike Social on the Bennett's YouTube channel, so please hit subscribe. If electric bikes aren't for you, if three-wheelers aren't for you, maybe it's racing, maybe it's tyre advice, maybe it's riding advice, maybe it's kit tests, anything, it's all there. Hit subscribe and we'll see you again soon.